If everyone could please come on in and take your seats, please, at this time. Good morning, everyone, and welcome this morning to the 5th Interim Joint Committee meeting of the state government, state and local government, and also our Elections and Constitutional Amendments Committee today. So we have a combination of quite a few things today, and we do have a fairly full agenda. So we are going to get started in just a moment, if you don't mind. But before we begin, as I always like to do, as I begin the meetings that I chair, I'm going to ask Representative Johnson, would you please lead us in a prayer this morning? And at the conclusion of that, then I'm going to ask everyone to stand, and then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. But Representative Johnson, proceed with a prayer to begin our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'll join me, please. Dear Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We thank you for this opportunity to serve you and serve the people of Kentucky. Lord, we ask that you open our hearts, our minds, and our consciousness to what you would have us understand and guide us in the direction you'd have us go so that we can best serve the people of Kentucky. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you please stand with me this morning? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much this morning. Madam Secretary, please call the roll at this time.
Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Elkins,
Present.
Senator Herron, Senator Maiden, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Mills, Senator Rawlings,
Here.
Senator Tishner, Representative Baker,
Here.
Representative Bivens, Representative Branscombe, Representative Callaway, Representative Chester Burton,
Present.
Representative Decker, Representative Donworth, Representative Gooch,
Here.
Representative Griffey, Representative Hancock, Representative Hodgson, Representative Huff,
Here.
Representative Imes,
Here.
Representative Cook,
Here.
Representative Lehman,
Here.
Representative Chris Lewis, Representative Scott Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Here.
Representative Maddox, Representative Marzian, Representative Proctor, Representative Raymer, Representative Roberts,
Here.
Representative Tate, Representative Thompson, Representative Tipton,
Here.
Representative Watkins, Representative Williams, Representative Witten,
Here.
Co-Chair Nemes,
Present.
Co-Chair Johnson,
Here.
Chair Hale.
Present. Do we have a quorum, ma'am? We do have a quorum today, and we are duly constituted to do business in this interim joint committee meeting today. Again, welcome everyone. Just a couple of housekeeping chores before we begin. Be sure that everyone, please, in the audience and all the members here, silence your cell phones today during the meeting. If you come to the table to speak, please remember to turn your microphones on. Make sure the green light is brightly shining there so we can all hear you. And before we proceed into our first item on the agenda, and we are going to actually have just a little change in the agenda schedule, but my two co-chairs, Senator Nemes, would you like to say anything this morning?
No.
That was a quick answer. Representative Johnson, co-chair, would you like to say anything?
Welcome to everybody.
All right. Does anyone in any of the members have any guests today that you would like to introduce before we begin? It appears that we have no guests. The only thing that I would say, Senator Rollins, please leave Senator Tishner alone so she can pay attention to the meeting today. I was just joking. The first item today on our agenda, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir, for reminding me. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the September 23rd meeting? There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed likewise? The motion does carry. Thank you, Daniel. Our first item today, we are going to go out of order just slightly this morning. Our first item is a discussion on, with Senator McDaniel is going to come and have discussion on in the Senate Bill 126 of the 2025 regular session. So Senator McDaniel, please come to the table, sir. And Mr. Chairman, if you will introduce yourself for the record, then you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Chris McDaniel. I'm the state senator for the 23rd District and chairman of the Senate Appropriations and Revenue Committee.
Thank you. We're glad to have you with us today. The floor is yours. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also it was the sponsor of Senate Bill 126, which has enjoyed many different numbers in its 7-year history. I guess this will be a 7th session upcoming. But as you said, Mr. Chairman, you have a very packed agenda today, so I will try to condense my testimony as much as possible. Most of you here may have not necessarily been here in 2019, which was the events that actually spurred this legislation. And what we found in 2019 is the power to pardon is unlimited in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and it rests solely with one person, and that is the governor. And that power to pardon does mean quite literally that any one individual could throw open the door to every jail in the Commonwealth and let everyone out if they so chose. We saw some pretty horrific people find themselves walking free in 2019 as a result of the pardons that Governor Bevin had issued. We saw several more present some very close, scarily close calls as they approached time with the parole board after his pardons. What this bill does very simply is it is a constitutional amendment that would have to be put to the ratification of the voters that would restrict the power to pardon of the governor. Now, Representative Petrie very wisely advised me that since the initial bill was filed, we have added early voting. And so instead of a 30-day period, it would be a 60-day period running up to a gubernatorial election. And then from the election until the swearing in of a new governor, there would be no power to pardon. So in essence, roughly 3 months, 3.5 months out of every 4 years, there would be no power to pardon. The intent with this is so that either the governor who issued a pardon or his party would have to stand in front of voters and account for any pardons that were issued. Right now, the system of justice is such that a police officer arrests someone and gives them their various citations. A prosecutor presents a case to a grand jury returns an indictment. You are entitled to a jury of your peers, overseen by a judge. There are appellate courts, there are Supreme Courts, and all of these various checks and balances that exist to provide the most basic thing that we're charged with, which is justice. The provision of justice is fundamental to government, and the idea that one person, for no reason or for any reason, could overturn the entirety of a system of justice is simply not right. It's not fair, and it's not something that we should condone. So that has been the purpose of this amendment, Mr. Chairman. I will skip the lengthy testimony and answer any questions that you might have, sir.
Thank you, Senator, for that very good description of what your bill is intended to do. Do we have any questions from any members today concerning this specific issue? Representative Tipton, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator McDaniel, you're persistent, if nothing else.
That I am, sir.
What kind of feedback have you received from citizens of the Commonwealth since it's the time you've been presenting this? Have you received much feedback from citizens on whether or not they feel like this is a good step forward or not?
I have, and actually, most citizens would have us go further than this, quite frankly. And some have proposed that we set up commissions. Some have proposed just repealing the power entirely. Truthfully, each year when it gets filed, I have too many people who ask to testify with me and talk about their stories that I couldn't simply bring up. You'll recall last session I had the manager of the restaurant where one of the people who was murdered and raped had worked, and it was her killer who received a pardon from Governor Bevin. And he came down with me, and so yes, the support is very overwhelming. It's very bipartisan. This is a basic issue that I think enjoys a lot of support.
Senator Nemes.
Yes, this is more of a comment than a question, if you'll indulge, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you for bringing this succinctly because it still has the constitutional intent. It still gives the governor his powers. It doesn't take it away. It just makes some common sense on the timing and the change that is needed. So thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Senator Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing this bill again and being persistent. I spoke in favor of this bill, I think, the last time we were in committee. One question, though. Have you or do you intend to address a governor who's termed out and how that would impact this bill at all or not?
Sure. So it would still it would affect a termed out governor versus a midterm governor or a in between two term governor in the exact same manner, right? And so ultimately they would still have the power to pardon restricted 60 days prior to that election. If they chose to issue pardons beforehand, the general thought is the party that they represent would have to stand in front of the voters and account for those. I can only imagine the chilling effect that it would have on an election if people knew 2 months in advance some of the people that may have been pardoned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I follow up with a comment?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
To Representative Tipton's point, I've talked about this potential this potential amendment on the ballot with several voters in my district, and overwhelmingly they are in favor of it as well. So I can't think of anybody who I've talked to who's opposed to it. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for indulging me.
Thanks, Senator.
Senator McDaniel, I'm assuming, and I think this is the intent is to put this on the ballot for 2026. Is that?
That is correct.
That
yes.
is correct. Okay. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick comment, if I could, please. So I think maybe like a 7-year bourbon, this bill's time has come. I think we got a shot. I'm voicing my support for it, and primarily because it actually makes governors and makes elected officials more accountable to the people. And I'm hesitant to do any kind of constitutional amendments. I'm pretty. I'll just say hesitant. I think is the right word on that. But in this case, when we're able to make things more accountable to the people, I think we're better off if we do it. So I'm just voicing my support for the bill.
Thank you, Representative.
Are there any other questions or comments for Senator McDaniel? I'm sorry, Representative Marzian.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question, I have a couple brief ones. So is this in response to the plethora of pardons after Bevin's or at the end of his?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are there, I don't have a copy of it in front of me, but are there exceptions like mental illness or?
No, it is, and that is why it would be. The intent is that the power would still be there, and if there is a legitimate reason for the exercise of the power, you would anticipate there not being problems, right? But if there wasn't, then you could have some complications with it. But so it still allows for, like I say, about 3 years and 9 months of each governor's term. The power exists in its exact form that it exists now. It's just those times when you would do something and not be able to see recourse from the voters.
So 60 days prior to the election. So say beginning of September, they'd be cut off from.
That is correct. And then from the date of the election until the swearing in of a new governor.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, Senator McDaniel, thank you. Just to add to some of my colleagues, I think this is a great piece of legislation. I think it is certainly time. And my hope is that we can move this forward this year. As Representative Johnson said, constitutional amendments are, we all know that constitutional amendments here in Kentucky have had difficulty over the years, but I think this is one, to be very frank, I think is a very bipartisan effort, and I think most people will agree with you on that. So thank you for that today, and I wanted to bring Senator McDaniel in to just give us a brief update on this before we go into session in a couple of months. So thank you very much, Senator McDaniel. Appreciate you being with us today.
Thanks, Representative. Thanks, member of the committee.
Moving on to item number 2, which actually had its item number 1 to begin with, our first item. We're going to have a discussion on House Bill 16 from the 2025 regular session, an act relating to water fluoridation, the water fluoridation programs, and Representative Hart, and I think he has Senator Elkins coming to the table, and also a couple of other folks. So if all of you would please come to the table and make sure everyone's microphones are on there, please, with the green light bright. Senator Elkins, I'm going to start with you and go right across the table there. If you would please, everyone, introduce yourself for the record, and then we'll move forward. Go right ahead, please.
Senator Greg Elkins, representing the 28th District.
Representative Mark Hart, 78th House District. Could we get somebody to help us with our slides, get them brought up down here? Oh, here she comes.
Here comes someone. While they're doing that, sir, would you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
My name is Dr. Jack Call. I'm the executive chair of the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology and a practicing dentist in Louisville for the last 48 years.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Cindy Batson. I'm a registered nurse, a mother of 3. I've been speaking on this in front of this committee since about 2019, and thank you for welcoming us today.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. And Representative Hart, the floor is yours. Or Senator Elkins, whichever one wants to go. Proceed.
We're going to try to condense our comments. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Call for a brief presentation. But I just want to emphasize to everybody, our bill is about removing an unfunded mandate. It's not about the pros and cons and the benefits and risk of taking and utilizing fluoride. But we've had a lot of questions in the past in that neighborhood. So I've asked Dr. Call to kind of give us a real brief explanation of the risk and benefits of fluoride, and then we'll go into questions and we'll tell you the changes in our bill. So, Dr. Call.
Thank you. So these slides, if you've got a few slides, act as a resource to give some background and references relative to those concerns that are brought up of what happens if we do remove fluoride from the water. This graph shows a comparison between countries who have fluoridated their water over the years in red, the red lines, and the bluish lines are the countries non-fluoridated. You can see a general trend over the decades of declined rates. And we've come to understand in dentistry that the benefit of fluoride as far as reduction of tooth decay is from a topical standpoint, what you find in toothpaste, for example, or what an individual can receive in a dental office in which fluoride is applied to the teeth. So this just drives home the point that the benefits to water fluoridation at a systemic level are dubious, questionable. I mean, look at the facts right here on the slide. The other thing I want to point out, about a year ago, the National Toxicology Program published a report it took about 8 years to put all this data together. This is like at the highest level of government. These are researchers and PhD scientists who looked at all the literature being published over the years. And we're not talking about 1 or 2 studies. We're talking 64 studies, identified 18 of which were very high quality. These are studies funded by the National Institutes of Health grants, and conclusions that there is a moderate confidence in the body of evidence that estimated fluoride exposure is inversely associated with IQ in children. So the more fluoride exposure means drop in IQ. Now, you might question, moderate confidence. We want high confidence. It's seldom in science that you get that. There are so many confounding variables in statistical analysis. It's very difficult to get to that point. Some of the studies, this is one that was published in JAMA, which is a very respected peer-reviewed journal of the Journal of the American Medical Association. And these researchers are at a number of various institutions, some in Canada and in the United States, these are the type of studies that the NTP report highlighted. The big take-home message here is that fluoride is a developmental neurotoxin. And the most susceptible individuals in our population are fetus and newborn. And as a neurotoxin, that fluoride will interfere with brain development. It does a lot of other nasty things too, but that's the big focus here. And so we need to keep that in mind. I always talk about we dentists can repair teeth. We can't repair brains. Nobody can do that. Additionally, a year ago, the federal court ruled. The court finds that fluoridation of water at 0.7 parts per million, which is the level presently considered optimal in the United States, poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. The scientific literature in the record during these court proceedings provides a high level of certainty that a hazard is present. Fluoride is associated with reduced IQ. Some of you have perhaps heard of Cochrane reviews. This is data from Cochrane Review published, again, about a year ago. A lot was happening a year ago, showing that over the decades, this kind of looks like that first slide I showed you, the graph, but it showed the decline in effectiveness of water fluoridation. And again, the understanding now is that during the 70s particularly, the use of fluoridated toothpaste came on very strong, and it's that topical benefit that has resulted in this reduce in decay. Which leads me to, what do we do with conflicting data and concerns? And I propose this precautionary principle. It's used a lot more in Europe than it is in the United States. This is out of a Journal of Evidence-Based Dental Practice in 2006, so one of our own dental journals, that just based at that point in time, pointed out some of these issues that make fluoridation ripe for applying a precautionary principle approach. And now we have all those things that I just mentioned to you added on to the data points 20 years ago. So that principle of precautionary principle is important. And another aspect of that is the concept of margin of safety. And what scientists do when they're trying to determine what are levels that maybe people can tolerate safely of something that could be toxic, then they typically apply a factor of 10. And in that NTP report, a lot of the data was focusing that for sure at 1.5 parts per million of fluoride exposure, that there is definitely problems. And even though there's problems at lesser amounts, as you go up, that 1.5 was like major confidence of a problem. Well, if you apply that margin of safety factor, that would then leave us with the maximum exposure at 0.15 parts per million, which is a whole lot less than our current 0.7 parts per million. This is the result of too much fluoride in the water. It's called dental fluorosis. It's showing us what happens internally from that internal ingestion of fluoride, and that's just the teeth. You don't have a comparable image of the brain that we could show or the bones. but there is an effect systemically from that fluoride. And I'll close with this graph here. A lot of my colleagues will point out a study published about what happened in Calgary. They took the fluoride out of the water back in 2011-12. You see that vertical dotted line, fluoridation seized in Calgary. And they'll say, yeah, after that was done, the rate of decay went up. Well, what they omit to tell you is that the rate of decay was already going up during fluoridation, as you can see on the graph with that lower green line, 2006. And that was a published study right here. So that concludes my remarks. And at any point when we get into questions, I'll be glad to help with that. But
We will go
Cindy?
through the entire presentation before we take questions.
Yep.
So Representative Hart, go proceed.
Okay, with that little lesson on the risk and benefits of fluoride, now let's get into the legislation. The legislation is the same legislation that's been that passed out of the House last year, with one exception. The legislation simply undoes the unfunded mandate in the state of Kentucky that requires water producers to add fluoride to the water. But we added, we did tweak the legislation a little bit. By talking over the years, and more specifically over the last several months with multiple water districts, one of the biggest concerns that we heard was they were worried about possible litigation. Didn't matter whether they kept fluoride in the water or took fluoride out of the water. They are afraid they were going to be sued with whatever decision they made. So because we're asking these water districts to undo an unfunded mandate, we have decided in the new bill, and you all should have drafts of it, simply adds an immunity clause in it. The water districts will be immune from any type of civil litigation, regardless of which direction they go, whether they keep fluoride in the water or take it out. That's the only change to the legislation. And we, as we go through the discussion and as we prepare to go into next session, if we're open to suggestions to make the bill as friendly and better, if that's the words you choose, so that we want to accommodate everybody's concerns, but we want everybody to realize our emphasis is undoing the unfunded mandate and allowing people to have the freedom of choice when it comes to, in this case, dental treatment. We're not promoting fluoride one way or the other, good or bad. We're trying to steer away from that conversation because that's not what the legislation does. However, because of the ramifications and some of the stuff in the media and stuff today, we thought it was necessary to give you a little bit of education on the risk and benefits of fluoride. So with that, unless Senator Elkins has a comment.
Before we go there, just a second, Representative Hart. Everyone should have received a copy of the draft that Representative Hart was talking about with the change, the very minimal change in the bill from last year. I hope everybody had a copy of that in your materials that you did receive. Senator Elkins, I apologize. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have much to add to what Representative Hart has said. I want to reiterate the fact that this bill is more permissive than requirements. It permits water districts, whether it be municipalities or private water districts, to include fluoride in the water, as they always have, or to choose not to if they should decide that that's the way they want to go. And also, we did work on and are continuing to work on some form of immunity for these water districts so that they are immune to litigation for including or not including fluoride in the water. But it's a pretty, as we like to say, a pretty simple bill, but it's more of a local control bill to me than anything else. So, thank you.
Cindy?
I don't necessarily have anything to add, but I'm open to answering any questions that may come up.
We have one individual that is signed up to speak and we will go there in just a moment. Stephen Robertson with the Kentucky Dental Association. But I'm going to allow some questions at this point to this panel that is here currently, and we're going to start with Senator Rollins.
Thank you, Chairman Hale. I've give Nurse Batson an opportunity to answer. She studied this topic so long. Fluoride is not the same. There's naturally occurring fluoride, and from my reading of the topic, it's an industrial waste product from the fertilizer process. And not only that, from the manufacture of aluminum and iron ore. I think that's hugely concerning, that's what's going in our water, and that we don't have any choice, that we haven't had any choice in the matter. And as President DeSantis has said, it's a forced medication. So I wanted to ask you to please confirm if that's what's going in our water, the industrial waste products.
Yes, so that is true. It is a byproduct of phosphate fertilizer manufacturing. That is correct. What's been shared with me before is that since it is considered a saleable good, it isn't considered a waste, but it is a waste to the phosphate manufacturer. So it is hydrofluorosilicic acid is produced in the production of phosphate fertilizer manufacture. They collect rocks from the earth and they pour an acid onto it to get the phosphate that they need. It creates an incredibly toxic gas, so toxic that in the 40s, the EPA required smokestacks to catch it and a scrubbing process at the top. So there's a liquid water drip at the top to turn the gas into a liquid so it isn't admitted into the Earth's atmosphere because it's so toxic. It just kills things around it. It's historically wiped out entire orchards, poisoned cattle, made their bones brittle. There's a book written that a farmer gave testimony that he went to pull his bull up out of his field and his horns broke off because his horns were so severely fluorosed. So the fix to that was the wet scrubber. That turns into a liquid. That liquid is hauled to a cooling pool where it settles. Any sediment settles to the bottom. Anything that's radioactive evaporates off, and what's left is collected and brought to our water systems. So yes, that's true. In 2014, there was a study done on that chemical hydrofluorosilicic acid specifically, and it was found to be contaminated with other heavy metals from the Earth's crust. Things like aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, manganese, chromium, things like that. So it isn't a pure pharmaceutical grade product that's added to the water. It is a byproduct of phosphate fertilizer manufacturing that otherwise would be a waste. If my water system were to stop using it tomorrow, they would have to pay a company to come and get it, neutralize it, and dispose of it. They couldn't sell it to another water company because it's considered a hazardous waste. All true.
Mr. Chairman, may I do a follow-up comment?
Very quickly, please. We have several people lined
Yeah,
up.
quickly. I just want to be clear. I'm very supportive of this bill, but I would also be supportive of a total ban, as has Florida and Utah done to date. Thank you.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys know how much this unfunded mandate costs local entities in Kentucky per year?
I don't have an exact answer for that, but I can share some information with you. Will you ask me one more time so I answer it just as it was asked?
Yeah. How much does this cost local government entities per year?
Oh, to add fluoride to the drinking water. Oh, I see what you're saying. So I, again, don't have an exact cost. We met in a regional municipality center, and their costs skyrocketed after 2020. And that gentleman actually brought that data here, I think, in 21. Their costs became so expensive, they were ordering, because when they order this chemical, they go to the lowest bidder. And so they were shipping the chemical in, the hydrofluorosilicic acid, from China because it was so expensive domestically. So my own water system, we have imported it from places like Israel because it was less expensive for Israel to send their waste to Cynthiana, Kentucky, than for them to get it from Florida. Same for the other water system that we spoke with. Do you have an exact number for that?
So I don't have an exact number. What my research, it's in the millions. I don't have the statewide data, but that's one of those issues of we impose this on local governments and are asking them to pay for it with their limited taxing abilities. And that's an opportunity to look at our tax system on what local governments can do. So I just want to bring that to y'all's attention. But also to Representative Hart and Senator Elkins, I've received multiple contacts asking to oppose legislation that removes community water fluoridation programs. Does this bill remove water fluoridation programs?
Nope, it just makes it a decision for the local water producer. And I think I've got some data in my office that could answer your first question better.
Awesome.
And I'll be more than happy to share that with you or anybody in the committee.
Okay. Very brief comment, Mr. Chairman.
Very brief.
Thank you. So this is this bill, I think, is a bill whose time has come, and I thank Representative Hart for his persistence on this legislation. This is about local control, letting local entities do what is in their best interest. This is a good piece of legislation that expands the ability for community-based decision-making. I think it's a good legislation. I think it's backed up by data, and I fully support this. I think we need to get this out of the House and the Senate as quickly as humanly possible, so that way we can get this decision out of Frankfurt and put it back into our communities. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Lockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple questions. The first one is for Dr. Call. Is there any type of research that would suggest that water fluoridation has any effect cognitively on issues like dementia, Alzheimer's, those types of illnesses?
Yes, there is.
Could you kind of go into a tad bit more detail about that?
Yes.
Not too much detail.
I said a tad.
How long do I have? So a lot of it is basic science research as opposed to epidemiologic data that will address like large numbers of people in our society. But the basic scientists, like in biochemistry and physiology, how the body works, and then things that undo how the body works, also known as toxins. And we know that, for example, mercury, lead are neurotoxins, just like the fluoride is. And it gets down to the mechanism of action, what actually takes place. So these things in our bodies called mitochondria. And those mitochondria are in our cells, and they're kind of like the energy factories, if you will. So again, without getting into a lot of detail, it interferes with the way the mitochondria work to make ATP, which is a molecule for our energy for our bodies. And so, yeah, there are publications. I've got slides and presentations that I give to groups that explain these mechanisms. and some of those studies.
just kind of in brief, what you're saying, along with other journals as well, is that fluoride in the water is contributing to the rise of dementia-related illnesses.
Yes.
Thank you. Representative Hart, you've had this bill for several years, I think ever since I've even been here. And every year the House has passed this bill overwhelmingly, if not I think actually it's been a nonpartisan issue. And without throwing another body under the bus, I don't want to do that. What has been the main hurdle across the hall in the Senate to why this doesn't get passed year after year?
I can't really comment more as much on the
take
Senate.
the fifth on that if you'd
I
like
could.
to.
Well, I was actually just going to pass the buck over to Senator Elkins. The one hurdle that we've seen in both chambers that I can comment on, it's been the misconception of what the bill actually does. It's been turned into an anti-fluoride bill, which really it isn't. It's just we're trying to undo an unfunded mandate. But with the efforts being made around the country to eliminate fluoride in multiple states and multiple water sources, it's kind of added fuel to the fire, and a lot of people seen this as an anti-fluoride bill. So our biggest hurdle has been educating people. We're not trying to ban, say, good or bad with fluoride. We're just trying to undo an unfunded mandate. And with that, I'll let Senator Elkins, maybe.
Thank you, Representative Lockett, for the question. So I'm as Chairman Hale says, I'm going to plead the fifth on the actual question, but I would like to say that I intend to file the companion bill to the bill Representative Hart has filed in years past, and no matter what you think about fluoride, whether it's helpful, whether it's helped tooth health in Kentucky, or whether it's made no difference at all, whether you think it creates medical issues or whether it doesn't, I certainly have my opinions on both of those. But as Representative Hart says, I want everybody to know this is a bill that doesn't take fluoride out of the water. It just gives the control back to the entity who's putting it in there. So that's all we're doing, and I look forward to carrying it on the Senate floor or in Senate committees if I can get it there and have a conversation about just that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two brief questions. Representative Hart, Senator Elkins, your guest. Thank you for being here today. We get this passed, you're still welcome to come back and see us. Do you know how many water districts there are in the state of Kentucky? Needless to say,
there's a lot. There's not off the top of my head. We've got the data up in my office.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a stack of data.
That just leads into my second question. Is there anything, of course, this passes, each of these individual water district boards will be making this decision. Is there anything in your legislation or in existing legislation that would require them to have a public hearing before they make that decision so that the public and the community is informed and will have an opportunity to input on the decision the Water District Board makes?
There isn't anything in our legislation that would require that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that would be, our goal was to push it back down to the local level for local control and that kind of stuff, and let the municipalities dictate or go through the processes that they decided on. However, if that's something that could help, I would not be opposed to it. I don't think my colleagues here at the table would be opposed to it, because the number one, like I answered with Representative Lockett, our number one obstacle, I think, over the years with this has been educating people about what we're actually trying to accomplish. But when you get down to the decision to take it in or out, at that point, it would probably be good to have professionals like Dr. Call and them come in and educate whoever's making the decision on.
Well, that was the reason I asked the question, because I think I've learned a lot about fluoride, and I think my folks back home deserve to learn a lot about fluoride too, because it's a decision that impacts them and their health and their family. So I just think maybe you might consider something like that to just make sure that the local people in the local communities are informed and have an opportunity to input on the decision of their local water district board. Thank you.
The last question that we have comes from Representative Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yeah, thank you, Representative Hart and Senator Elkins. I'm a little confused. You keep saying this is not a fluoride, anti-fluoride discussion, but we have two of your colleagues to your left who are telling us that fluoride is terrible for us. I would like to just make a comment and ask a question. One, I just want to point out the countries on this slide. All of these countries have very robust publicly funded dental programs, including in-school dental care, including fluoride treatments that are happening in the school. You do point out there's the no salt countries. So there are a lot of countries, industrialized countries, that actually fluoridate salt instead of water as a way to do these things. If this is just a question of an unfunded mandate, is it something that as the General Assembly we should, if we fund these programs, or if we fund in-school dental fluoridation treatments, which I actually remember in kindergarten having that done. Does that solve the problem instead of putting, is this a money question, or is this really a question about fluoride? Because I feel like I'm getting conflicting things.
Well,
here.
I think one of the problems, early on, the opposition to our bill, they made it a discussion about the pros and cons of fluoride. We emphasized every year that it wasn't, but that seemed to be every time we would present or we'd be in discussion, them were the questions I was getting. So, this is my, I'm going into my 9th year of presenting this bill, so I'm trying to make this more concise. That's why I have my friends and colleagues to the side of me that can answer them types of questions. But to be more specific, or to answer your question more specifically, that's a question for the dental and the medical community. Would them types of programs? Because like you, I remember taking it in elementary school, taking fluoride treatments, and I've used fluoride all my life. But I don't know what the answer is. But my emphasis has been, the United States is a free country. We do not dictate any medical treatment to anybody. It's always a choice between the patient and their doctor. The same thing needs to apply to dental medicine. So that's been my emphasis.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Representative Lehman, I would also add, I can remember the school nurse saying, "Don't swallow that. Don't swallow that." Huh?
Is that all, Representative Lehman? Okay, thank you. Well, thank you all this morning. I want to just make sure today that this was just an informational meeting that I wanted to bring out publicly, of course, as we have had these in the past, but as Representative Hart and also Representative Elkins's bills will come forward as we begin the session. Wanted to just bring the awareness to this, and you all may go ahead and step away from the table. Thank you all very much. I wanted to just make a quick note. There is a letter in your packet today of the information that was from Miss Alicia Watley. I think I'm pronouncing that correct, from the Kentucky Oral Health Coalition. And the letter was in opposition to this specific issue. We do have 2 more people, so we're going to have to really move by here pretty quickly. We have Dr. Stephen Robertson from the Kentucky Dental Association. Dr. Robertson, are you in the building? Yes. Please come forward, and then after his testimony, we have Mr. Vince Guthner from the Louisville Water Company that's going to come and oh, okay. So we're going to do this together then. Yes, that's fine, sir. Thank you. Please do. If you both will make sure your green lights is on there at your microphones, a bright green light. Please, both of you, introduce yourself. And Dr. Robertson, I'm going to ask you to go first, if you don't mind, please.
Dr. Stephen Robertson. I'm the executive director of the Kentucky Dental Association.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Vince Gunther.
Make sure your light's on, sir. Push it till the green light comes on. And maybe pull it a little bit closer to you.
Thank you. So, Vince Gunther with the Louisville Water Company.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Robertson, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, in the interest of time, I think everybody is pretty well aware of our stance on fluoride. So rather than eating up a lot of time, we would like to file a written response to some of the comments that have been presented today. So we will be sending that to you, and I'd really like to have Vince make his words, and then I'll be available to answer any questions anyone has.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I greatly appreciate the opportunity to give very brief testimony this morning, and I will say that I had a conversation with Representative Hart before the meeting started, and he made me aware of the liability language that he intended to add to the bill, and I think that may take care of some of our concerns, but it doesn't eliminate them all. And certainly I want to take a look at that language, share it with our attorneys to see how it will provide any type of liability protection. Louisville Water provides safe drinking water to nearly 1 million Kentuckians in Louisville and Jefferson County, and each of the surrounding counties, including Bullitt, Oldham, Shelby, Spencer, Hardin, and Nelson counties. And to my knowledge, for the first time, this is going to be adding a practice to a local utility that's never been done before. We're going to be asked, our boards are going to be asked to make a decision on what is either added or deleted from drinking water. To date, everything is part of the Safe Drinking Water Act, through the Environmental Protection Agency, the State Division of Water, and in the case of fluoride, as you know, the Health Department. And so in essence, we are rule followers, not rule makers. And because of that, this is where I would add the part we're concerned about the liability. That might be taken care of. But we're also being asked to make a decision from our board members who don't have that expertise. They don't have the background in health-related decisions. We believe that it's going to create quite a bit of confusion amongst our customers, make it very difficult to manage those customer expectations, maintain high customer satisfaction. And water supply in Kentucky is very complex. Most communities receive their public drinking water from a variety of different sources. In Louisville's case, as I mentioned, we supply all of Jefferson County, but also the surrounding communities. Under the bill, as I understand it, the surrounding communities will have to take the water as we treat it. So if our board decides to continue to add fluoride, then fluoride will be delivered to all of those surrounding communities. But there's also 3 utilities that we provide water to, 2 water districts in Hardin County and the city of Shelbyville. They all also have their own treatment. So those particular boards will be making a decision on whether to add fluoride. So I think it's highly probable throughout the Commonwealth that you're going to have conflicting positions that different governing boards are making. And so even if, for the example, say Shelbyville, if they determine to remove fluoride, by contrast, Louisville Water makes a determination to continue adding fluoride, fluoride is still going to be provided to those communities, even though the governing body of Shelbyville took a position to remove fluoride, because there's no way to effectively remove fluoride once it's in the drinking water source. The one final thing that I'll bring to the committee's attention is that the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Department of Health and Services, they are currently studying fluoride and the impacts and the toxicology of fluoride. I think the federal government is uniquely positioned, certainly has more resources to adequately study this issue, to determine at that level what is the risk, at what levels is fluoride a problem for public health. And I think it may be prudent for the state to allow that process to run its course before making a decision ahead of what the federal government, which is typically the way we handle drinking water issues. Regulations are started at the federal level where there's resources and science to study the impacts of those rulemaking, and then that's passed down to each of the states. So I greatly appreciate, again, the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to speak, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions that folks have.
Before we go to those questions, and Dr. Robertson, I recall you were with us last year during testimony on this, and certainly in fairness, as those of you know, when I'm chairing a committee, I want to give everybody their opportunity to speak. So, sir, you've got 5 minutes if you'd like to share it, or if that's up to you. But if you'd like to, please go right ahead.
Well, I feel that the one thing that I would say today is that, you have to understand that Kentucky is an absolute leader nationally in water fluoridation, and that we are considered the topic experts nationally. And our public health group in Kentucky in the government has multiple memorandums of cooperations with other states to help them work on their program and administer their program, because ours is run that tightly. We have the model program in America. And, that's probably, just backing up what Vince has talked about today, that's probably my primary message. We feel that we have 79 years of quality science showing that this is effective. And, it's no different than the iodine in the salt, which, when was the last time you saw somebody with a goiter? Or the vitamin D in the milk. So I think, there's different ways to look at a lot of different things. This is considered one of the top public health campaigns in the history of the United States and America, is the fluoridation of water. And probably the biggest take home is that, our own public health numbers for our state show that for every 10% reduction in public water fluoridation, we're potentially looking at a $19 million yearly expense to the Medicaid program. And that's something to keep in mind, is that as we head into this next session, Medicaid is going to be a big topic of conversation. And I think it has to be part of this conversation. And then, as I said, we'll file a written response to everything else from today. But thank you, Chairman Hale.
Thank you, sir. You've always been very, very nice and to give us your opinions on this specific issue. Senator Tishner has a question. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. I have a question for each of you. First, the Louisville Water Company. I remember meeting with you guys last year as this passed out of the House and came to the Senate, and you guys were lobbying against it. And it seemed to me, and it kind of seems the same of what you presented today, that just for logistical reasons alone, the Louisville Water Company may be in support of a full ban, as opposed to the options, considering the multiple counties that you serve and how that would be so complicated.
If there was a full ban, of course, Louisville Water would follow that mandate, right? And so from a governance standpoint, from a perspective of managing customer expectations, that would be easier. In full disclosure, I will say, although it wasn't part of my specific testimony, we've had a long partnership with the Kentucky Dental Association and the Kentucky Oral Health Association. We have programs where we work with the University of Louisville Dental School, where we're going in and providing dental treatment, providing dental treatment to the disadvantaged community. So I think, in fairness, Louisville Water believes that it's a good public policy perspective to continue to add fluoride.
Okay. Thank you. And Doctor, forgive me, I don't remember
Robertson.
Robertson, thank you for being here today. You mentioned we've had 79 years of quality science related to fluoride in the water. Why is Kentucky still ranked almost at the bottom across the nation in dental, in caries, and just overall dental health?
How much time do I have? I think there's
please.
a lot. Yeah. There's Senator Tishner. I would love to have that discussion with you. There's a lot there. That's a big question. And, I will tell you that a lot of it is obviously diet, home care, lots of issues there. I mean, the comment has been made previously that if we rank as low as we do, why does the fluoride matter? I mean, how much further do you want to go down? There's a preponderance of evidence that fluoride provides a positive effect. And yet we continue, you're correct, we continue to see numbers that we're near the bottom. And, Mountain Dew mouth is a real diagnosis. And, we have a lot of dietary issues in this state as you travel through the state. And I think it has more to do with the intake of something besides fluoride and the lack of quality home care and perhaps education on oral health that has led to the situation that we're in.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's are a lot of contributing factors, but I would add, we have the same as other states who are using fluoride in their water, and they're not as low as we are, right? So I would be interested in talking with the KDA about how do we promote better health. We have the MAHA task force. We're looking at the SNAP program, the sugary beverages that people are getting on the SNAP program, and dental health in Eastern Kentucky is much worse due to that, and also dental health deserts in those areas where they can't get care. I'm just curious, will it take another 79 years for us to see better results if we keep fluoride in the water, and how does that impact the health of everyone in the state, not just the teeth and dental care for younger citizens? Thanks.
I'm going to ask if we still have 3 more people with questions. If you could just limit your question to one question. Representative Bibbins, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got more of a statement than a question. I think a lot of Representative Proctor, she's one of the smartest ladies I know, and she has informed me that there's 435 water districts in Kentucky and 107 water treatment plants. To answer your question, Representative Tipton, We've heard pros and cons about fluoridation. I have received numerous emails from the Dental Association telling me we can't remove fluoride. This bill doesn't have a thing to do with removing fluoride. It's about local control. Now, when I ran for office, I've heard people, and I hear people every day, fuss about too much government. Government's involved in too many things. This doesn't have a damn thing to do with removing fluoride. This is about local control. Now, sir, I would challenge you from Louisville Water. You have a board. Yes, all these water districts have boards. There are very intelligent people that sit on these boards. Sir, you with the Dental Association, it's going to be your job at that point, as well as the gentleman in the back that presented earlier, to educate these water boards, to make those decisions. It's about local control. It has nothing to do removing fluoride. It's about local control. I feel like we're really wasting time. We're being inefficient when we talk about all these different things about, oh my gosh, the positives of fluoride, the benefits of fluoride, saving people's dental health. It's about giving control back to those local municipalities to make those decisions. Thank you, sir.
Senator Nemes.
Yes, I hate to follow that passionate statements, but so I'll be a little calmer. I can get that way though.
Please don't.
As Representative Hart wants to make its local control, I do think that it is getting sidetracked onto the benefits or non-benefits of fluoride, and as both have agreed on how the treatment is administered, whether it's just at a school and you wash your teeth or brush your teeth and spit it out or not. But I want to make this comment to the Louisville Water on your logistics. Very good point on the logistics. But then you went into how you spend money to help this, that, or another with fluoride. I think it would be better if you stay in your lane and produce the water you need to produce for the benefit of the community at the lowest price.
Right. So thank you, Senator Nemes. I had mentioned our partnership with the Kentucky Dental Association. There's not a financial contribution to that. It's not a cost to our ratepayers. We're using our employees and volunteer. We have a whole program on education, and we're using volunteer retired employees to go into those programs. So there's not a direct contribution to that on the cost. So it is part of our overall education efforts.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad I gave you the opportunity to explain that.
Representative Marzian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative, please make sure your mic is on.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm so sorry. Of the last panel, but the study they cited was from 2006. I mean, that's 19 years old, for goodness sakes. So I think we really need to get accurate stuff, as Vince said, from the feds, or studying this on both sides, I guess, the NIH and where else? EPA?
EPA.
Okay. But I think one of the comments made was that we have to have choice and not be involved in medicine, and we don't do that, but we certainly do in the General Assembly, because we've taken away the right of women for reproductive rights. So we do in the General Assembly make decisions on health care all the time. But I wanted to point that out to members, that we have taken away reproductive freedom from women and men and families. Thank you.
We have two more questions. I said we were going to stop two back, but we're going to do these two more. Representative Lehman, and then we'll go to Representative Cook, and that'll be the last question. Representative Lehman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gunther, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks for coming. I just have a technical question on, so when water from the source, incoming pre-treated water, do you test for fluoride?
Yes, we are testing for fluoride.
And so you add, depending on what
to get to the optimum level, yes.
Okay. And I guess my question then is, if a water district board says we don't want fluoride in the water, and there's fluoride in the source water, how do you deal with that, and is there an effective way to remove fluoride from naturally occurring water?
Right. My understanding of our treatment process is it would not effectively remove it. So depending on the level of fluoride in the source, that would continue to be part of the water that was delivered to customers.
Thank you.
Representative Cook, you're last.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's along the lines of that same question. For all the rural water districts that a lot of they have water supply from the next rural water district over, and that was my same question. What do you do if technically is there a way to separate that or do that? And that was my question.
There's not a practical way to do that.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your testimony, and Representative Hart and Senator Elkins and those guests that you had. Thank you all for being with us today. We appreciate your testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last but certainly not least today, we are honored to have with us from the Kentucky Department of Parks, Commissioner Russ Meyer, and I think maybe the Deputy Commissioner, am I correct? If you gentlemen would come to the table, please. And both of you, I'm sure, know the drill here. If you'll just identify yourself, and then we will begin. Go right ahead, please.
Thank you very much for having us here today again. We have a great report for you and looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to meeting with you all, and looks like we have great representation across the Commonwealth. First, I want to introduce, as you said, Mark Keelan is our new Deputy Commissioner in Kentucky State Parks. Mark is from Henderson in the western part of the state. We also have our team here with us, Mona Judd, as you all know, our Chief of Staff in Tourism. Melissa Brewer, our Director of Finance. Julie Garland is in the Parks Commissioner's Office, and Olivia Atkins is Director of Marketing. So thank you again.
Thank you, Commissioner, and you may proceed. Good to have you with us today. Go right ahead, please.
We have a presentation here.
You have 20 minutes, if that's okay.
This will go about 19:30.
That'll be fine.
That's good. All right. Again, thank you all for having us, and it's just a great opportunity to be here today to discuss the progress of our capital projects from the funding that you all appropriated to update and improve our Kentucky State Parks. As you will see in our slide presentation today, we have made great strides in moving forward with that funding for the betterment of park operations. We've been working diligently with the Finance Cabinet's Department of Engineering and Contract Administration by meeting bi-weekly to facilitate every one of these projects. Next slide. With the parks overview here, Kentucky State Parks is committed to providing a sustainable system of parks that delivers quality programs, amenities, and services. Our goal is to create memorable experiences and a sense of place and preservance our parks' historic and natural integrity and traditions for existing and future generations. Kentucky is home to 44 state parks that serve as major tourist attractions and employers for many rural communities. Parks operations consist of 17 resort parks, 19 recreational parks, 8 historic sites, 1 rail trail, 1 state scenic trail, 13 golf courses, 34 pools and beaches, 15 marinas, 30 campgrounds, and Breaks Interstate Park, which we share with the state of Virginia. Next slide, capital project breakdown reporting. Please see the breakdown of HJR 76, HJR 56, and HB 6. We'll go into more detail on the progress of these projects later in the presentation. You should be seeing information from us regularly. We submit a quarterly project report on HJR 56 to the Interim Joint Committee on Appropriations and Revenue. That report includes the status of each project. We also submit a quarterly report to the Interim Joint Budget Review Subcommittee on Economic Development, Tourism, and Environmental Protection relating to HB 6. We appreciate that some of you have followed up with us on these detailed reports. Next slide. Completed projects. As you can see here in this slide, our completed projects as follows: campground bathhouse renovations, broadband upgrades, life safety systems, and playground upgrades are all completed projects. Next slide. Yes, we'll go to the next slide. HR 76. The first half of the presentation will focus on HJR 76 funding, focused on campground utility broadband and structural updates and improvements. The projects funded from the $66 million require finance to administer. These projects typically require an RFP to allow for consultant selection, design processes, and request for bids. Next slide. Campground bathhouse upgrades. Campground upgrades total $40 million. Kentucky State Parks consist of 30 campgrounds. $1.7 million in bathhouse renovations have been completed by our parks construction team at 12 state parks. Over $495,000 has been appropriated for remaining projects. Currently, 2 state park bathhouses are under construction. Next slide. Campground upgrades west. We split the $40 million for the campground upgrades into an east and west fund of money. Campground projects in western Kentucky include campground redesigns, premium Lakeview campsites, camper cabin additions, and campground store and bathhouse replacements. $20 million has been appropriated for these campground projects. We currently have 3 projects under construction, 1 project in design, and 9 projects that have had initial site visits and assessments by the consultant. Significant campground projects are taking place at Ken Lake State Resort Park that include major renovations to existing campground sites, as well as new premium Lakeview sites with full service connections and a new bathhouse. New camper cabin units will also be included in this renovation. The Corps of Engineers campgrounds require federal approval as well. Next slide. Campground upgrades in the east. Campground projects in eastern Kentucky include installing water and electric utility services and additional sewer services to campsites. Other improvements include campsite living spaces, paving of campground roads and site pads, and other ways to enhance our guest experiences. Our Eastern Kentucky State Park campgrounds were also appropriated $20 million for upgrades. Carter Caves Campground Bathhouse and Campground are currently under construction. That renovation includes the store being replaced. Major renovation to the campsite utilities is also part of this project. Additionally, 3 of our state park campgrounds are in design. 1 has been awarded a contract, and 4, Blue Licks, Kincaid, Carr Creek, and Pine Mountain, have had initial site visits and assessments by the consultants. Cumberland Falls Clifty Bathhouse renovation, which is in design, includes ADA-approved restroom shower addition that will be built adjacent to the current bathhouse. Next slide. Next 2 slides are on My Old Kentucky Home rendering and construction. This is the rendering for the $4 million project to build a new campground at My Old Kentucky Home, which is well underway in the construction process and will be completed by the spring of 2026. The campground will include an expanded, fully renovated campground with 39 full-service campsites. These will include 8 pull-through sites. The campground will include a new modern 1,600 square foot bathhouse, new utilities, and new asphalt driveways. Slides 13 through 15. As you can see here, a lot of construction going on at our campground. This is My Old Kentucky Home right there. We'll go to the next one. This would be Ken Lake, which is a fully renovated campground at Ken Lake. This is probably one of the most pristine views in the state of Kentucky. This is Ken Lake State Resort Park, which we made a visit to about 3 weeks ago, And, we're even further along than this. I believe the roof is on the bathhouse now. And at that point, they were starting the roof on it. All right. Moving on to Greenbow and Blue Licks bathhouse renovation. These are our completed bathhouses at Greenbow Lake and Blue Licks Battlefield State Resort Parks. Next slide. Carter Caves. This is our Carter Caves bathhouse. Carter Caves State Resort Park Campground is currently undergoing a $3.8 million renovation to enhance the visitor experience and attract new travelers. The renovation includes the construction of a new campground, store, and bathhouse, additional sewer sites, and updated electric and water lines throughout the campground. These improvements are designed to ensure that visitors have access to modern conveniences while enjoying the outdoors. The project is expected to be completed later this year. Next slide. Utility improvements. Our utility improvements total $20 million. Kentucky State Parks is currently partnering with the Energy Environment Cabinet on a federal matching grant project that totals almost $17 million. This amount includes a $3.5 million match by Kentucky State Parks. The grant supports the replacement of primary electrical infrastructure at Ken Lake and Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Parks. This grid resilience project includes right-of-way clearing, pole and line replacement, and replacement of primary equipment and transformers. Kentucky State Parks owns the primary electrical infrastructure of 14 parks across the state. The age and condition of these systems are no longer able to safely and reliably support the electrical systems for park operations. The parks have become important sheltering locations for many of Kentucky's citizens affected by natural disasters. The funding for replacing these systems must be raised to the highest priority for Kentucky State Parks to continue to serve for years to come. Next slide. Wastewater collection system improvements. Please see the details on the collection system piping and sewer lift station repairs and upgrades to various state parks. $6.5 million has been appropriated for these projects. EP Tom Sawyer and Barren River Lake State Resort Parks are priorities in the West region. Natural Bridge and Cumberland Falls State Resort Park are priorities in the East region. The design process is underway with 3 of our state parks. Natural Bridge is under construction, while another is EP Tom Sawyer. It's out for bid. Next slide. Broadband upgrades. The broadband upgrades total $6 million. The Department of Parks has established 15 projects for Wi-Fi at the campgrounds. The Commonwealth Office of Technology is the lead on these projects. Guest Wi-Fi projects at Carter Caves, Paintsville Lake, and Dale Hollow campgrounds have been completed. General Butler is under construction. All campgrounds have high-speed internet or will receive upgraded internet as a part of these projects. Parks is still working closely with COT on every one of these projects. COT is working on the project schedule for the remaining campgrounds. COT is also working to accelerate the completion of the schedule by contracting and planning and design of each location to make them move faster. Next slide, HJR 56. Now we will update you on the Department of Parks status of the $71 million for state park improvement projects in HJR 56, including building systems, accommodation, hospitality, and recreational amenities upgrades. Next slide, building system improvements. Parks currently has an active project in process to replace these failing systems that control the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment in the lodge and parks. This project includes a review of all major HVAC equipment and other critical climate control services. Other building systems improvement projects include the replacement of failing cooling towers, chillers, and other HVAC equipment. Some of these replacements include a new chiller at Barren River and 2 new cooling towers at Jenny Wiley. These projects are already underway with targeted completion dates of April 30th, 2025, which they have been completed. Life safety upgrades, next slide. Parks is currently engaged in a life safety project centered around guest safety and security. This project includes replacing all guest rooms and primary lodge entrance access controls. New key cards and programming software will also be upgraded. $2 million was appropriated for these projects. All 18 state park lock system upgrades are complete. Park employees have commented positively about the improvements, which will help eliminate visitor complaints about room keys not working. Other life safety projects include updates and repairs to fire sprinkler systems and major repairs to lodge elevators. The sprinkler system project at John James Audubon and the elevator project at Jenny Wiley and Dale Hollow Lake have been completed. Next slide. Structural and safety repairs. $6.7 million was appropriated for these projects. Currently, 5 projects are under construction at the listed parks there. Next slide, ADA mobility improvement and building systems. $1.1 million has been appropriated for the Dale Hollow ADA accessible pedestrian bridge that leads to the lodge's upper rooms. This project is currently under contract. The $1.3 million EP Tom Sawyer pool repairs and recreation building upgrades have been completed. The interior upgrades, totaling $2.8 million at Lake Barkley, is also under construction. Next slide. Accommodations and hospitality upgrades. $21 million has been appropriated towards accommodations and hospitality projects. These projects provide interior renovations and new furniture at those resort parks prioritized by our team. This includes lodge rooms, cottages, and guest common areas. Design is currently underway and regularly scheduled project meetings are being held. This slide highlights furniture upgrades and mattress replacements at various state parks. To date, $1 million has been spent to replace mattresses at 5 resort parks and to replace furniture at 4 parks. General Butler and Village Green at Kentucky Dam Village received all new mattresses and wood furniture. Kentucky Dam Village, Ken Lake, Carter Caves received all new mattresses. Kingdom Come State Park received new mattresses and furniture for a newly renovated cottage completed by our park's construction staff. Next slide. Pool improvement and repairs, beach refurbishment. $12 million has been dedicated to upgrade Kentucky State Park pools. Several park lodges and community pools were constructed in the 1960s and 1970s. These structures need major improvements to offer our guests and local communities the expected experience. A consultant has been selected for pool projects and presented with a prioritized list of park pools to review. Currently, Lake Barkley's pool project is out to bid. Nearly $347,000 was dedicated to beach refurbishment to include sand replacement, beach amenities, and safety essentials. As you can see, that's Barren River up top. That is Penny Rowell Beach on the bottom. State park beaches are a major draw, allowing recreation and enjoyment for guests. However, they have suffered from overuse and underinvestment. This project helps us restore them to a better, safer condition, enhancing all current operational beaches within the system. And I'll back up. We have put a high priority on any new projects to be ADA compliant, and that Penny Rowell beach restoration will have ADA accessibility to the beach, which is going to be really cool for that beautiful part of our state and Kentucky. Dam safety. $5 million has been appropriated to Penny Rowell Forest State Park Dam. The dam is a priority for repair since it's failing. This design process is complete. The project is pending review by the Division of Water and Corps of Engineers, and the estimated construction start date will be late this fall. Next slide, playground upgrades. $1.2 million was dedicated to playground upgrades. As you can see, all 13 projects have been completed at the listed parks. Next slides. Guests, especially children, are excited about our completed playgrounds. Many employees have relayed positive guest feedback about the new playgrounds added thus far at some of our state parks. You can see and read the parks where we have these newly renovated playgrounds. Moving on to golf course improvements. $8.5 million has been dedicated to golf course improvements, including golf course irrigation replacement, Bermuda greens, conversions, and bunker repairs. Using Bermuda grass has a proven track record of reducing maintenance costs and improving playability. $2.6 million was used to repair bunkers and mitigate many earthwork slides that have developed at different locations. This project is critical to protect the existing investment made in park golf courses. Next slide. HB6, we currently have 9 projects in design and 4 projects under construction. Some of the projects include the following. Yatesville Lake State Marina replacement is currently in preliminary design. Assessments are being made on the current marina. Part of this assessment requires divers to perform underwater inspections of the current marina infrastructure. Cumberland Falls State Resort Park will be evaluated by consultants for guest room renovations. Upgrades to the lodge common areas will be reviewed. The reconfiguration of guest rooms is in design with construction scheduled to start in 2026. Wastewater treatment plant upgrades will continue with the wastewater plants that needed them, but were not included in previous rounds of funding based on priority. The plants at Dale Hollow and Blue Lick State Resort Parks will be renovated or replaced. The utility infrastructure replacement phase 2 will include electrical projects that coincide with the grid resiliency grant at Kentucky Dam Village and Kentucky State Resort Parks. Additional unplanned critical infrastructure projects are also being addressed. In closing, an additional thank you to all of our partners, especially the Energy and Environment Cabinet and West Kentucky Rural Electric Co-op, as well as local, county, and city governments. The Parks Facilities Management Division is managing 284 more capital projects, totaling almost $70 million in addition to the projects we discussed today. Many of these are internal parks facilities management projects, while others are being managed alongside the Finance Cabinet. That said, Mr. Chair, we'll take questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Perfect timing. You was right on schedule.
1930,
right? Very good presentation. I appreciate that so very much. I wanted to just bring our commissioner in, just give us an update on the renovations and the work and progress of a lot of these projects. I will say this: I know that actually in my previous employment, traveling to the state parks over a course of the last 25 or 30 years, we certainly have seen a great deterioration of them. We all know that if we've been there, and I've been to just about every park there is in Kentucky. But it's exciting to see some renovations and work and repairs happening, and I know there's still a lot more to do. And again, I know you came into a situation where there was a lot of disarray in the parks. We do have a couple of questions, but I just want to ask just specifically, and I've actually had some of my constituents ask me this, and this is not even in my district, but really, what's the really quick status on Fort Boonesboro? Is there, I know that was really a popular place for a lot of folks to go. Is there a projected date for that completion of that over there at Boonesboro?
It's going to be well into next year. I mean, we can pretty well write next year off for that campground. One good thing, though, is we will be moving the electric service up out of the flood zone with this renovation, and we have directed pool money to renovate the pool there at Fort Boonesboro, which I know people in that area are very excited about. So that's a real positive that'll come out of this. And it's been hard on state parks. That's our number one campground revenue generator. And take note on this, that our number one and our number two revenue generators for campgrounds in state parks have been down this year. Green River Lake and Fort Boonesboro, along with others. Nolan Lake Campground was underwater for most of the year, and it's closed right now. So we've been hit pretty bad by the spring floods, and we're hanging in there and recovering, and we'll get her open as soon as we can.
Thank you, sir. Again, appreciate the report today. Representative Lockett, you have the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always good to see you, Mr. Commissioner. I have a couple questions. First of all, number one, well, this is not a question, this is a statement, but I want to say thank you, first of all, because I've been to the parks, and you and I have talked about some of them as well, that some of the repairs are drastically needed, and so I'm glad that we're doing that. My first question is, how many of the locations, whether it be parks, campgrounds, whatever, how many of these that are state-owned actually turn a profit?
Of parks themselves?
Yes.
I believe the only one that I know that we have turned a profit on is Paintsville Lake State Park Campground down there. That's the only one that has come close to turning a profit.
Okay. So it kind of goes into my next question then, and my fear is that I know we went years and years and years without really doing anything to our parks, and they got in disrepair, and so we've invested millions of dollars into our system. Has it ever been? And I guess this is kind of a philosophical question that I don't really expect you to answer, but could it be time, or has it been part of a discussion with some of our parks, some of our lodges, to privatize those?
I mean, that's a question that I believe has come up for quite a few years. State parks, we manage 50,000 acres in Kentucky State Parks. That's a lot of acres in pristine areas of our state. And we have to look back too at historically, where did we come from with state parks? Why have state parks been placed where they are? They've been placed to give communities throughout our state another tool in the toolbox, an economic driver, a component that will bring people to their communities for tourism, bring jobs to their communities. So, that's a big question with a lot of components to it that it's hard to give a direct answer on.
It is.
I think that's a discussion for a lot of people well above the pay grade of Kentucky State Parks to have a discussion on.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think it could be possibly time to begin having that discussion, because I agree with you. The parks are there for a reason. They are there as an economic engine, and is it the state's role to continue pouring millions of dollars into these parks that don't turn a profit? So, again, just kind of opining there a little bit. So I appreciate your indulgence.
Always a great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Myers, always good to see you. You know, it will soon be 11 years that yourself, myself, and Chairman Hale were sworn in for the first time in the House. My, how time flies. You've certainly been busy
Yes,
in
sir.
your time as commissioner. And as has already been discussed, I think a lot of it goes back to the 2008 economic downturn. There just were not funds available for several years to invest in our parks. I mean, I see the terms in your report: improvements, repairs, updates. We had a lot of deferred maintenance, things that had got left on. And I remember from my time on A&R, I forget exactly, but we had several $100 million in deferred maintenance at our parks. We've invested a lot. Do you all have, I know you mentioned do you have a 270? Do you all have a good number on just how much, I hate to use the term deferred maintenance or asset preservation, we need to do right now above and beyond what we've already appropriated?
You know, I've thrown a number out there before, but that is a moving target because when General Assembly appropriated this money's $279 million, I believe is what it was over a couple sessions, that target has moved. And we're not able to make that money go as far as what we thought it was going to be able to go when we made the initial request, and you all gave parks that money. So it's a moving target. I hate to put a number on it. It's a big number, but fundamentally, I think if you could look at it this way from not only a capital project standpoint of what we need to do to get our parks back to where they are, because good point. That the recession of 2008 was a full-blown backup everywhere, state government, local government, federally, everywhere, and parks took a big hit. And at times when we should have been reinvesting even before that, in capital projects. Focus on the fundamental of what you're getting ready to go into, the budget process, the budget session, and give parks a real look, because what we do with parks from a budgetary standpoint is how we're going to maintain parks in the future. And it's real, and that's where we could make a huge difference each and every year that we go by, of just taking care of what we've got, being able to improve things as we go. Our people in parks are our biggest asset out there. The employees that work in each and every one of your all's communities out there across the state. Phenomenal. They give it up every day when we have natural disasters, and we take our displaced community members into our parks, which is what a wonderful thing we've done, is to give people hope through that process and a leg up and a step up. But and if parks are privatized, would you have that opportunity to do that and help those in our communities? So there's a lot to look at, but I think look at the fundamental budget that you're getting ready to go into and take a look at, and just remember parks is all I can say.
Mr. Chair, one more brief question, if I may.
Yes.
I truly believe our state park system is one of our crown jewels in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I'd like to see more jewels in that crown. But awesome. I know realistically the Commonwealth's not in a position to take on any new infrastructure right now. But we do have private-public partnership laws, P3s, that are available to be used. And I know legally you can't comment a lot on that. My question is, do you receive much interest from the private sector in making investments to try to improve our park system?
We have put RFPs out, many out even before my time in parks, and from what I understand in the past, and I know in the present, we haven't had much response on that. I mean, like you take a state park like Lake Cumberland State Park, where Representative Branscom's from. Beautiful place, unbelievable park. It's 5 miles off a road that takes a while to get to the entrance of the park. So when you have a private industry looking at something like that, you know, the Commonwealth looked at it from what can we do for our communities to have an economic tourism engine out there that'll work. But I mean, we can keep trying. We can keep trying. There's nobody stopping, you know, trying to do things like that. And when those conversations come up, we're open to them.
We have one more question from Senator Mills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, and my friend Mark. Thank you for being here today. I wasn't going to ask this question, but you broached it just a little bit. We're talking about giving you some homework for calculating some things, and I guess one of the numbers that I would like to know is that the committee, if you notice, the John James Audubon Conference Center there, that's a project that I've been working on for a little bit. Local governments put $6 million with the state's money, almost $8 million, so it's a big project. But through this process and through the increasing of building costs and things of that nature, we're going to be short $2 million or something like that on getting that conference center built because of inflation. So I guess my question would be, do you have a number on the $279 million that's been budgeted? Are you going to bring a budget number to our A&R process of what those inflation costs are? Do you know all the projects? I know on my particular project, and I'll be advocating for that so we can get it built, but I figured other projects have seen the same escalation of cost. Is that true?
I mean, we can tell you a percentage of what projects went up from what we had projected, but you all should be getting this every quarter. It's a list of all our projects that we're doing, the progress on them, each and every one of them, the line items, I mean, everything about any project that is going on in state parks is coming over to A&R, and you all have full access to this information.
So one of the things in doing these, I thought it was on. And one of the things in doing these projects is you'll see a bunch of things that are in design that we don't have money to pay for. Excuse me. So we have a better idea of what things are going to cost in the future. And when these funds first were allocated, we really didn't have that information. So we have better information now. It's not just the escalation in costs. We have the consultants that are reviewing all of these things. So
better estimation of our needs. And if I can elaborate just a little bit, Senator, our first round of money that you all gave us, you put in the legislation to work with local governments on combined projects. And we sent out letters to every county judge and mayor in the area of our state parks where our locations are to ask them if they had any projects that they wanted to partner with us on at a state park. John James Audubon, City of Henderson, and the county stepped up, and that is one of the projects that we are working on. That is a lead project, if you will, from legislation that you all passed. So it's really cool to see that happen. We're well down the road on this project. It's going to be a big benefit to that community. It's going to bring economic impact, tourism impact, jobs to the community. It's a big deal. So thanks for bringing that up, Senator.
Thank you.
We do have one more question. I'm being generous. This is the last one, though. Senator Elkins.
Thank you, Chairman Hale. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here today. I have a question and a comment, a couple of questions, but one of them we'll talk about later because I would like a full update on Boonesboro. I have a lot of people who contact me wanting to know what we're doing there and what to expect when it does open back up. And that seems to have been a moving timeline as well. Not just the campground, but the pool also. But my question is, do you have I visit state parks all the time. I was at Levi Jackson yesterday. Boonesboro I frequent a lot. Carter Caves, the work that's done there is fantastic. Do you have a budget request number that you're going to come with this budget session? I mean, remember the parks, and I'm certainly going to try my part of that because, like others on this committee, I think they are the crown jewel of Kentucky. But do you have a specific request, or do you anticipate
there will
having
be
one?
and there will be actually, in our capital projects that will come, and the actual budget request will come too. And I just simply ask to be supportive and open to discussion on it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Hill. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for today. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, for being with us today for your report. We do have 16 minutes left. I was just going to ask you, would you like to comment on fluoridation for anything? I would assume no.
I think I'll take this on that one.
Again, thank everybody for being with us today in our meeting. The next meeting date will be Thursday, November the 13th at 3 p.m. That is a time change now. That will be 3 p.m. November 13th. Thank you for being here. We are adjourned.